Hi, this is Dr. Carina Lopez with Vitalist Healing Traditions, and today we're on our episode 3 of Celebrity Remedy with Kim Kardashian. Every month, we speak about a celebrity and a potential illness they may have had and go through an alternative medicine that could have potentially helped them. In this way, we are able to spread an understanding and an awareness of what homeopathy is. So like the Queen of England, the late Queen of England stated, I have to be seen to be believed. So let's see, learn, and grow. Now, please take a moment and like and subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below as to what you think. Now today we'll be discussing Kim Kardashian. Now, as most people know, Kim Kardashian is a heavy influencer. She started off with her show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which at the same time she came out with a sex tape that was notorious. She has very much came into the world as a business owner and now a potential litigator. She's rubbed elbows with Donald Trump and so many other things. And no matter what we think of her, positive or negative, she is being heard. With that being said, today we'll be really understanding her illnesses. And so we're going to go over her psoriasis. We're going to go over her traumatic childbirths resulting in multiple surgeries. Now, in 2006, Kim was diagnosed with psoriasis. And in 2007, her sex tape came out with Ray J, as well as her upcoming show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Now, as a homeopath, I know that when there is an incredible amount of stress, making up your own show, then having a sex tape come out, whether you wanted it or not, it is stressful. She is going to go into her trenches with stress, and illness then comes out. Even the Chinese say, good news is also bad news. And that is an ancient Chinese motto. Because the reality is, anything that brings out stress is going to bring in underlying disease. Now, Kim's mother has had psoriasis and Kim's father died of cancer. So when we think of Kim's disease, we have to understand that it's deeply entrenched in something important that we have to analyze and go over for the rest of her life. In other words, it's not going to be a one-shot deal. Now, Kim took steroids initially for this and it worked. But when you put a Band-Aid on a waterfall, it's going to come out. And soon enough, it did. So let's just talk about for a second the use of steroids. Steroids have real impact on the body. From a disease like Cushing's, from having diabetes as a result, from muscle wasting. There's so much that steroids do, even to the point of thinning out bones or even causing a heart attack. And when someone suppresses their symptoms, like put a Band-Aid on it, like Kim did in 2006, I guarantee you it's going to come back, and it's going to come back to stay. And since 2011, since Kim was betrothed to Humphreys, she's had the psoriasis go back and forth and back and forth. But the suppression went deeper in the body. And her psoriasis soon turned into psoriatic arthritis. And again, going back to why she had it the second time, well, she had a huge wedding. And this wedding not only ended very briefly in a divorce, but anyone knows that planning a wedding is indeed a lot of emotion. And whether or not it was a fake or true divorce, we have to remember that that all causes stress, good or bad. Now, let's just go back for a moment and talk about what is psoriatic arthritis. Now, psoriasis is a skin symptom for the most part, but when it becomes psoriatic arthritis, it goes deeper in causing joint pain. And joint pain can be tremendously painful for the person who is suffering. Usually so painful that since the steroid creams stop working after a while, users begin to use low-dose methotrexate, which is essentially chemotherapy. And just to let you know what chemotherapy does, it causes liver, heart, and kidney damage. So let's just think for a moment. Have you been in so much pain that even taking a drug like that, knowing the potential, is even worth it? So it's a really big deal, and homeopathy can help. Now, despite trying other modalities like celery juices with the medical medium and different types of saunas that she had done and UV light, still the root cause wasn't addressed. And even with the drugs and these different therapies, Kim didn't find a solution. And still, the psoriasis began now in her face, on her arms, all over her legs. And anyone really can sympathize with that. I mean, how many people have been in the throes of disease and tried so many different things to help and still didn't find help? Going further, Kim had 2 traumatic childbirths, suffering preeclampsia with both births. Now, what is preeclampsia? Preeclampsia can cause many, many issues during pregnancy. And during the pregnancy, the person can even get a fatty liver and other worsening issues and have a complicated childbirth. The doctors, knowing this and not knowing other means, even had Kim deliver at 34 weeks. But unfortunately, Kim's 2 pregnancies, she also suffered placenta accreta. In placenta accreta, the actual placenta does not detach from the womb easily. And not only that, some of it is left over in the womb. And this can cause things like hemorrhages, liver failure, heart failure, kidney failure, and even death. It's such a serious condition to have post-pregnancy. So, like any person, she was devastated and scared to have another baby, as she says many times. And she ended up deciding to go with a surrogate. And I'm just going to read to you what she said as per this birth. My doctor had to stick his entire arm in me and detach the placenta with his hand, scraping it away from my uterus with his fingernails. How disgusting and painful. My mom was crying. She had never seen anything like this before. My delivery was fairly easy, but then going through that, it was the most painful experience of my life. The fact that she can say that her delivery was fairly easy, being induced at 34 weeks, when so many know that induction has been proven to be more painful than human torture, shows us how much anger, frustration, and pain that Kim is capable of holding in. She goes on to say that she ended up having 5 different operations within 1.5 years to fix the damage that all of that did inside. Can I just stop by saying how traumatic this is? And for anyone who's had a traumatic childbirth, I take a moment and I really sympathize with you, because so many women walk into hospitals and do not have the proper compassion and are over-medicated. And even in the best of scenarios, just being in the doctor and having the lights on you and the stress can create tension in the mother enough to make a difficult childbirth. So as we give sympathy and we think about the throes and how much women over the course of generations have had to suppress whatever pain and trauma they went through childbirth, and hear the adage, oh, at least the baby's healthy. At least the baby's healthy. But the woman, in 2019, Kim had 5 surgeries because of this. Even wearing a bag for her urine because of the surgeries. This reminds me of a case that I saw with an alternate Nobel laureate, George Vithoulkas. It was a case of a young boy who suffered psoriasis head to foot. This poor child couldn't even wear a shirt. He was so in pain. And it was found out during the consultation that in fact, he himself had been walking down the street through a bar, and as a young kid, he was only 14 or 13, women saw him, and he was a rugby player, so he looked older, and they raped him. And he was so shamed and humiliated, and he didn't say anything, but his skin spoke the shame. And so, given the right remedy, the psoriasis disappeared. How many of you have experienced shame, humiliation, and kept it all inside? Any pain we must release, because that is how we heal. It's not just what we eat, because that helps, but it's also releasing the anger and the pain within us. In the past, there was, actually in 1884, the Women's Homeopathic Hospital for Men, Women, and Children. And there many babies were born. And I strongly believe that had Kim given birth next to their obstetrician and a homeopath, she would have been helped with the hemorrhage, with the trauma emotionally and physically, as well as so much more. Homeopathy helps with internal scarring and adhesions. Homeopathy can help stop a hemorrhage. Homeopathy will help with any emotional aspects, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Homeopathy is safe, it's gentle, and it's effective. It is not this heroic medicine that goes in and sticks their hands in and this and that. No, it's safe and gentle. There is a place for heroic medicine, but we need to also have a place where both can be used in unison to help guide the person's life and health. Now, nerves in the iris that go to the iris actually go to every organ in our body. In fact, if we see a lion, immediately our heart is gonna pump, and let me tell you, we're gonna breathe a lot better so that we could run. And so our eyes really are able to pick up any changes in organ health. And a trained iridologist will look at the structures in our iris as well as look at our sclera, which will show us different blood vessels and how thick or thin or the placement tells us a lot about health. So now let's look at Kim's eye. Now, the first thing we see is a scurf ring. This is found on the outer edge of the iris, and it's like the iris fibers stop short of getting to the edge, and the area is all dark. This sign frequently coincides with skin and elimination problems and emotional suppression. I have seen countless people with skin diseases with scurf rings, but with this, we have to also note scurf rings many times indicate someone who's private and closed. Perhaps we don't know everything about Kim emotionally and her life, but we do know that there is a protection mechanism involved. Second, we see Kim's iris constitution, which is ferrum chromatose. You see this by the tiger striping, bands of pigment. According to Tony Miller, a prominent iridologist, this type of eye is many times consistent with issues regarding the utilization and storage of iron. Anecdotal studies of this iris has shown an increased likelihood of an enlarged or damaged liver associated with disorders including bile production imbalance, poor fat metabolism, and intestinal spasm. These disorders can be exacerbated by exclusion of bioavailable iron in the diet. Kim lost so much blood postpartum, and this is absolutely seen in her eye. Kim also has contractile furrows. The location is precisely at the liver, which reflects that her anxiety and stress really pushed her liver and will and exacerbated her health conditions, especially in the liver. There's also a patch of melanin in the sclera. This shows potential liver hardening from chronic bacterial infection. The more severe cases appear closer to the iris, according to Leonard Melmauer, a prominent sclerologist. So, what is the homeopathic remedy that Kim should take? I believe that it should be Staphysagria. Staphysagria is a purple flower. Purple usually annotates thickened or congealed blood. Staphysagria is found to help people who have held on to so much anger that they have developed complicated symptoms post the issue. This remedy has been used for rape victims. It's been used for shame, for humiliation, for internalized anger, and so much more. And usually it presents as psoriasis. Also, Staphysagria has issues with the bladder. She was on an external urine bag post her surgeries. I mean, that's a real clear indication that she was pissed off, right? Think of that adage, pissed off. I'm so angry, my pee comes out. So I believe it will help her urinary system. It'll help her psoriasis. It will help her traumatic birth. Staphysagria also being used for illnesses like preeclampsia during pregnancy. Staphysagria is a wonderful remedy, and homeopathy is always from a natural mineral, plant, or animal substance. It's diluted, it's succussed, meaning shaken, and it helps bring out the person's own healing vital force from which they heal. Diseases are complicated, and Kim Kardashian needs a series of remedies, as well as the proper diet, proper herbs, mantras, healing words, and so much more to help guide her. And we all have been through the throes of disease, and we all know that really it takes work, love, and compassion. Please, if you would love to learn more about homeopathy, seek yourself a wonderful homeopathic doctor. We're always welcome for appointments. And if you liked our video, please like and subscribe and comment below. And remember, true healing ignites life.